I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's get into the Horowitz report on FISA abuse. It looks like he has it ready. He has given it to AG Barr. They're going through redactions. I believe we don't have an exact date as to when that report will be released, but this is actually Horowitz's fourth report. You pointed that out to me before we did this video. I was under the impression that he's only done 2 reports, but you're right. We've actually done a couple of videos on the previous reports that he did. These reports these are pre-Mueller testimony, Mueller's disastrous testimony to Congress, these reports that Horowitz did. So Horowitz has been, involved in the Russiagate hoax for quite a long time. And now we have the FISA abuse report coming out. I believe that we're going to see Comey mentioned. I believe we're going to see McCabe. Comey's not out of the woods yet, and this is going to be a really interesting report when it is released. This is going to be the big one. So, Alexander, let's frame it up for everybody. What this report means, what were the previous reports that Horowitz has done, and what those mean, and some of the players involved in this FISA abuse report that's going to be released soon.
Right, let's first of all say who Horowitz is. Michael Horowitz, is the Inspector General of the FBI. He's a senior official within the FBI. He is the person who deals with misconduct cases within the FBI and whose job it is to see that the procedures of the FBI and its rules are properly followed. I would add, by the way, that he was appointed to that post under Barack Obama. So he is actually a holdover from the Obama administration. He is, by every appearance and by all of the reports that he's written so far, which I have read, an absolutely exceptional Inspector General. His reports, unlike Robert Mueller's, have been crystal clear, incredibly well structured, very well researched and investigated, and they have uncovered a nest of abuse and malpractice within James Comey's FBI over the period of time when the Russiagate hoax investigation, call it what you will, was underway. Now, can I just quickly take people through what these previous reports were about? And you're absolutely right, we have done videos on them. So, it'd be useful to look back at some of those videos to get a sense of them.
I'll link them up. I'll find those videos and I'll link the Horowitz videos in the description box down below for our viewers.
Exactly. Excellent. Now, the first report, which he did in the summer of last year, which we covered extensively in a video then, was a report into the investigation by James Comey and the FBI, or I should say the pretend investigation into Hillary Clinton's misuse of a private server for her emails whilst she was Secretary of State of the United States. If everybody remembers, she was using a private server, sending out emails, many of which were classified, and receiving emails. She did this, as everybody knows, in order to conceal from the State Department the fact that she was also dealing with Clinton Foundation affairs while she was Secretary of State, very improperly. And using a private server as Secretary of State to conduct State Department business is a federal offense. It was supposedly investigated by the Justice Department and the FBI over the course of 2015, 2016. We were all waiting to see during the election whether Hillary Clinton would be indicted. Had she been indicted, of course, she could not have gone ahead and become the Democratic Party's candidate for the presidency in that year. And in fact, what Horowitz exposed was that this investigation by the FBI was carried out in the most terrible fashion, that witnesses, Hillary Clinton and people like that, were allowed to sit in on interviews by FBI officials. All sorts of rules were broken. The James Comey actually started to write his statement exonerating Hillary Clinton before Hillary Clinton had even been interviewed, that he changed the findings that Hillary Clinton had engaged in gross negligence to something weaker when he realized the gross negligence, in fact, provided Hillary Clinton with the mental intention that would have been sufficient to indict her. He said he gave every possible help to Hillary Clinton. And lastly, that he usurped the functions of the Attorney General of the United States and the Attorney General's officials and of the Justice Department by standing up as director of the FBI and giving an interview, giving a press conference in which he himself exonerated Hillary Clinton. That was a usurpation of the authority of the Attorney General and of the Attorney General's prosecutors. Comey was an investigator. The decision of whether or not to indict Hillary Clinton was one which should properly have been taken by a prosecutor, possibly by the Attorney General herself, not by an investigator. That was a clear breach of rules. So that was a damning report by Horowitz on the way in which Comey carried out that entire investigation and bent over backwards to help Hillary Clinton. That was one report. The second report was about Andrew McCabe, who was Comey's deputy in the FBI in charge of counterintelligence matters, and who played perhaps the single most important role within the FBI in pushing the Russiagate hoax theory. Now, what Horowitz reported in his second report was that McCabe leaked information to the Wall Street Journal about a separate investigation that the FBI was conducting into the Clinton Foundation. This is a completely different investigation from the Clinton email leaks investigation. This is an investigation the FBI was conducting into the Clinton Foundation. Again, McCabe, who, by the way, his wife had connections to Hillary Clinton, had been partly funded by the Clintons to stand as a state senator, but that's complicated story. That McCabe leaked information about that investigation against FBI rules and committed a criminal offense by doing so, according to Horowitz, to the Wall Street Journal. And then, quite incredibly, he tried to suggest, to imply that that leak was done by other FBI agents. In other words, he lied about the fact that he carried out that leak and tried to point the finger at innocent people, knowing that they were innocent within the FBI. That Horowitz report, that second Horowitz report, is known to have precipitated McCabe's dismissal from the FBI just a few weeks before he was due to retire. The third Horowitz report, which we did a video about very recently, was one about James Comey's taking down interviews of Donald Trump, meetings with Donald Trump, just after Trump became president, in which Comey made written memos of what he says Trump said during those meetings, which in itself, given the way it was done, was improper, and which I and several other people have said was clearly an attempt by Comey to build a case against Donald Trump. In fact, a case of Comey investigating Donald Trump at the same time as he was telling Donald Trump that he was not investigating him. And then of Comey removing these memos, which were clearly FBI property, taking them with him after he left the FBI, when Trump sacked him, and circulating these memos to the media through various intermediaries in order both to discredit Trump and to get special counsel appointed to conduct the investigation, the Russiagate investigation. So those are the three previous memos that Horowitz has provided, each of them incredibly damning of James Comey, of McCabe, of the way the FBI was operating under Comey's watch. Now, this fourth memo is going to be the really big one, because what this is looking into is the question of FISA abuse during the Russiagate investigation itself. FISA is this law that Congress passed, I think back in the 70s, which set up a special court that meets in secret, that checks every application that the FBI and the Justice Department make for a warrant for secret surveillance of American citizens who are persons of interest in a counter-espionage investigation. And we know through congressional investigations that the FBI obtained FISA warrants and conducted investigation of one junior Trump aide, Carter Page. We also know that those warrants were heavily based, in fact, apparently almost entirely based on Christopher Steele's dossier. Christopher Steele's dossier was that incredible dossier that was circulated in 2016 and was made public in 2017, which alleged that the Russians were blackmailing Trump because they had secret film of him getting prostitutes to pee on a bed which Obama had slept on in a hotel in Moscow, and that his entire campaign was working hand in glove with the Russians to steal the election from Hillary Clinton. That dossier was completely discredited. And through congressional investigations, we know that the FBI had considerable evidence whilst they were applying for those warrants, which should have alerted them to the fact that this dossier that Christopher Steele had put together was unreliable, that Steele himself was grossly biased against Trump, that the Democrats and Hillary Clinton's campaign had actually funded the production of that dossier. And it seems that none of this information was passed on to the FISA court, which granted the warrant of FISA against Carter Page. So Horowitz is looking into all of that, and we all expect him, and all the indications are that he's going to report to the Justice Department that there was severe abuse of the FISA process by the FBI, by James Comey, by McCabe, by people like Rod Rosenstein, by Sally Yates, who was acting Attorney General during the time when some of these FISA warrants were issued. And it is widely expected that he's going to make referrals for indictments, for possible criminal investigations to the Justice Department in connection with this FISA abuse. In other words, he's going to say to the Justice Department that he thinks that some of this behavior may have amounted to criminal malpractice. He has already done that with Comey and Comey's misuse of the memos that he was accumulating against Trump. We know that in that case, the Justice Department decided not to proceed with the prosecution. We also know that he did that in connection with McCabe's leaking of information about the Clinton Foundation to the Wall Street Journal, and he's lying about it. And we know that the Justice Department is looking into that referral and has indicated that it may proceed with a criminal prosecution. And it's widely expected that he's going to make further referrals for criminal proceedings against all sorts of people in connection with this FISA abuse. So this is going to be a massive report. It's apparently been completed. It's been examined by Barr, the Attorney General, and the Justice Department, who are going through it now. And publication should happen soon. And it's quite likely that indictments will follow.
All right, this is the big report. And real quick, Alexander, outside of Carter Page, I also think there are, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, that Papadopoulos was under FISA surveillance as well, correct? Yes, at least there's suspicion that he was.
Yes, this is actually an extremely important point because, of course, we only know about FISA warrants and surveillance of Carter Page because Devin Nunes and the House Intelligence Committee pursued a very relentless investigation into the FISA abuse that was involved in obtaining that warrant. But there are lots of indications that all sorts of other people were placed under surveillance also. And Papadopoulos has said that he believes that he was the subject of a FISA warrant. We don't yet know. And it may be that other people were also. We've only yet scratched the surface with the surveillance issues because there may have been surveillance carried out of American citizens by partner intelligence agencies of foreign countries like Britain, especially Britain, which might not have required FISA warrants. But we will find out, hopefully, from this report to what extent this was the case. So we've got a lot to look forward to here.
Yeah, let's not forget that there was a lot of unmasking by people like Samantha Power, who has no reason to be unmasked. I think she unmasked something like 300 people. No reason for her to be unmasking anybody. Obama made it very easy. I believe a couple of weeks before his term ended, he made it very easy for intelligence agencies to share that unmasking information between each agency, interagency. So Obama did that as well, probably on purpose to get all this FISA stuff and all this intelligence spread out across the agencies, to Clapper, to Brennan, to these guys. I made a list, Alexander, talking about Clapper and Brennan, of people that were the lower level players in this coup against Trump. And I'm not going to get into Obama, Power, Clapper, Brennan, who are probably the ringleaders of all of this. Loretta Lynch, Susan Rice, Hillary Clinton, the DNC. But we have a lot of lower level players, a lot of stooges that I think were given orders from very, very high in the White House to derail Donald Trump. Comey, Rosenstein, McCabe, Strzok, Yates, Page. This is the test now for AG Barr. If we don't see any indictments on any of these people, given all the information that we know, then, I don't know what to say about Barr. What would you think this tells you about Barr? I understand that he may want to be building a rock-solid case, and that's why he didn't go after Comey with the previous Horowitz report. Maybe the case wasn't as solid to prosecute Comey, given the information that was presented to him. But if this FISA report says what we think it's going to say and has the evidence that we think it's going to have, the rock-solid evidence, it would be amazing if some of these lower-level stooges do not have indictments coming their way, except maybe Rosenstein, who I think Rosenstein cut a deal with Barr in order to talk. I think Rosenstein already cut a deal. He's already ratted out everybody. But we have a lot of other lower-level players, Alexander, that AG Barr better deliver the goods.
Well, I agree. I mean, I have to say, if this process is going to end properly, we need to have, if the abuse is as big and as great as Horowitz says, and all the indications are, he's already, as I said, delivered 3 damning reports, and all the indications are that the next report is going to be appalling. It's going to be absolutely frightful in what it says. Then, as I said, unless there's indictments and prosecutions, I think an awful lot of people are going to be very angry and upset. Now,
are you going to be upset and angry?
I will be upset. I'm never somebody who gets allows himself to get
disappointed.
Angry.
I mean,
disappointed, very disappointed. But can I just say, I mean, I still think that Barr did not have a completely solid case on mental intention in relation to Comey and the memos. So I think that was the correct decision. The state with the McCabe case, this is the leak to the Wall Street Journal, is different because what we know is that apparently Horowitz made a referral to the Justice Department for an indictment of McCabe. The attorney, the U.S. District Attorney who was looking to this, decided that there was an arguable case and indicated that she would probably proceed with an indictment. McCabe then appealed that through his lawyers, as he's allowed to do as a former Justice Department official, to the Deputy Attorney General, who's a man called Rosen. A few days ago, we were getting reports which seem to be, in fact, I mean, I think they're widely acknowledged to be true reports, that Rosen rejected McCabe's appeal, which gives a strong indication that the district attorney who's been referred to, who's going to look into this, person I believe her name is Liu, is actually going to press ahead with an indictment. Now, there have been some rumors about this, and I mean, you get the usual stories and misinformation that an attempt was made to publish, to get an indictment against McCabe by from a grand jury in Washington last week, and that supposedly the grand jury refused to pass this indictment. I don't believe that. And Andrew McCarthy, who is a very, very able legal writer who writes the National Review, has cast very strong doubt about the truthfulness of that story. And he says, and I agree with him, that on the basis of what we have heard from Horowitz about McCabe's abuse, his leaking of the information to the Wall Street Journal, it's very, very difficult to see how there is not a criminal case there. But, you know, it could be. I think what's holding things up with the indictment against McCabe is not any problems with the grand jury. I think the Justice Department is waiting for the publication of Horowitz's fourth report, and that they're going to start issuing a whole series of indictments after that. If I'm right about this, then that strongly points to the fact that indictments are coming, because that would explain why there's been a delay in bringing an indictment against McCabe. That seems to me to make much more sense than any theory that the grand jury has been, you know, pushing back on an indictment. I think that's most unlikely to be the case. So I suspect we're going to get the Horowitz report. There's going to be published in a few days. After that, there will be referrals by Horowitz to the Justice Department, and I expect within a few weeks afterwards, we will see indictments of all sorts of people in connection with that FISA abuse. I expect some of the people involved, to name them, I expect there will be a big indictment of McCabe, both in relation to the Wall Street Journal leak and in connection with the FISA abuse. I expect there will be, I think there's a good chance we will see indictments of James Comey also, and possibly of other people in the Justice Department. We shall see.
All right, let's hope so. You know, this is Barr's time. This is Barr's time. So let's see what happens. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below and click on the notifications bell to make sure you get notifications every time we push out a new video. Make sure to follow us on iTunes and on Soundcloud to get an audio copy of this show. Links are in the description box down below. And please donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar. Your donation helps keep this channel up and running, and we appreciate all the donations. It really helps us out a whole lot. And another thing that helps us out a whole lot is when you buy a magic mug or you buy some of our magic shirts. All of our Duran merchandise, our Duran gear, just really improves your geopolitical IQ.
Well, of course, and your analytical skills. I mean, look at the extraordinary analytical skills Alex and I have put into this incredibly complicated and involved story of Horowitz's 4 different reports and all the malpractice he's discovered. How could we do it if we weren't drinking from mugs like this one, 15-ounce porcelain, beautiful mugs like this one, and this other one that I have next to me, which is, of course, the one of the Alpha Force, the Russian Special Services Unit. This, I would remind everybody, is of Sergei Lavrov, the world's best foreign minister, Russia's foreign minister. And as Alex says, when we work long into the night making our videos, or indeed when we go to glittering social occasions, or when I walk my dogs, or go into the park, or do all these things, I wear these enormously wonderful Duran shirts, incredibly comfortable, perfect for many types of weather, all sorts of weather, 100% cotton, beautifully cut, fit me perfectly. My wife loves them. They got our Duran double-headed eagle there, embroidered beautifully there. I mean, they're incredibly smart and elegant looking, and you can find other great merchandise on our shop, stickers, hats, hoodies, lots of great things. All of our merchandise, amazing quality. Best flattery, as I said, is imitation, and we're getting some imitators out there, but ours is the true, original, high quality, best stuff. Theirs is not. So don't get fooled. Go to the Duran shop, help the Duran, help yourself. We've also got books on Russiagate there, which will explain all this complicated material that we've spoken about on this video. And we're thinking about doing follow-up books soon. So go to the Duran shop, help the Duran, help yourself. Alex will tell you how to do it.
Yes, just look at the description box down below. You'll find a link to the Duran shop. We have a whole bunch of new shirts with the alpha symbol, Alexander. We have some great shirts with that. We have some shirts with the Kremlin crest, the one that Putin was, actually this one right here. So we have some shirts with that as well, printed on the front, some V-necks. So check out those shirts, purchase a magic mug, and help out the Duran. The link is in the description box down below. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Until next time, everybody. Take care.